Book 101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is the founder of Social, none other than Mr. Danny Meese.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Welcome, Mr. Danny, on Book 101 review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Absolutely, Daniel. It's always good to meet another Daniel out there. Uh, yeah, so I have a background in a lot of different areas, from starting different businesses to building, different coding projects and working as a creative director with global brands. But Vil is my latest creation. As of a year ago, I launched it and have been really growing in Colorado with over 20,000 users. But our focus is to use modern technology to enable people to connect in person and in real life, and to push them to do so through all the things you might have been exposed to through social media platforms, like really easy to digest content and feeds. But usually it's used for capturing your attention and not you connecting in person, as well as a map that lets you easily browse events, a really robust group chat, the ability to chip in items to gatherings like potlucks, and always expanding on that mission of helping people connect in real life and helping communities grow. So that's what I'm all about, is Bill.
Yes. And thank you so much for sharing, Will, Mr. Donny, to the world. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world through the video. So, what are your vision and mission
Hmm.
in this Social?
Yeah, so when I first moved to Colorado, I was getting my bearings and looking for new friends and groups, and I would go out dancing sometimes or go play volleyball or something. But I found that there was a big disconnect between event platforms and how regular people gather. I found that a lot of the event platforms, they end up being B2B, business focused platforms, as opposed, like, the people who actually run events tend to be, and groups tend to be more of a, like, an event organizer background, or trying to kind of grow a super huge group. And it lends itself less to just organically how people share things, whether it's social, and then I found that often people would share an event on social media, or share a location like a coffee shop or venue or something, and I loved that as a reference. But then it was separate from the events itself, so often I had to juggle an event platform and then a really appealing piece of content that showed me what the space was actually like. So I wanted to combine those two, and make it accessible to everyone. So it's free for both users and hosts, because that's just how it has to be accessible, just like social media is. Because I want to make it as easy as social media is, but instead of us sitting there and staring at content all day long, we are connecting. So as soon as you launch it, you're presented with nearby events that are really easy to share. You also get a lot of features that support that, like adding it to your calendar on your device automatically, connecting with people through common events that you've marked as attending, and then also composing quick group chats between different connections and easily sharing events, and doing those chip-ins I mentioned earlier. But yeah, it really comes down to helping people and pushing people to connect in real life through the latest technology, as opposed to drawing our attention to just consuming endless content all day long.
Helping people. We love that, Mr. Danny. The why. The name Social evokes a town or a community, not just a network. What is the core problem you saw in existing social media that inspired you to build a digital town square instead?
Thank
Hmm.
you. Yeah. Ville is indeed inspired by the French word, which I think is pronounced V, and then in the U.S., we have towns like Nashville, Knoxville, places like that. but it's
Mm-hmm.
taken that to just extend that into an anglicized usage. But that idea of it being a town or village, it's also kind of shorthand for village. I really like this feeling of focusing around community and the accountability that goes with it. So that's why I have features like chip in. So while social media might have um, many features to expose you to more content that you can share with friends, I would argue that a lot of times what we call friends on social media is not really that. I mean, for example, many of us might have many thousands of friends on Facebook, but a lot of those people maybe I met once. And the idea is that even from the start of social media, which we could argue which brand or platform started it really, but with Facebook, for example, which I think is the one that we think of mostly, when Mark Zuckerberg even talked about his reasoning for starting Facebook, a lot of the stories he shared were, oh yeah, people were wondering if Sally was dating someone, or if where that person went to school. And you know what people used to do, if they wondered if someone was dating someone, they would ask their friend, or they would ask the person, they would walk up to them in real life. So social media, to begin with, while it did in many cases help extend the internet in a way that you could reconnect with people that you didn't know before, or that you knew once before in your life but hadn't contacted in a long time, the way people ended up using it was actually spending time, you know, connecting on this platform where really it's not true human connection, and so Ville is flipping that on its head through a very aggressive approach to iterating, where I'm always talking to users and organizers to find the features that help them organize and connect in real life, so that it's really the best platform that's actually meeting regular people where they're at. While businesses do use it, like dance studios, yoga studios, things like that, or like clay throwing places and things like that, it's really not for businesses, it's for people. It's for everyone, and it does end up lending itself well to local businesses. But in the end, it's for people, and in a healthy way. It's for people, and then it again pushes them through a very easy to use interface to actually connect in person. So that's really the goal with it overall, and what separates it from others, from social media, and what
Mm-hmm.
separates it from other event platforms, is that it's always pushing people, and it's not just a tool like, oh, I'm going to look for this specific event or share this specific event. It has those features, but it's really a platform that in every way, shape, and form pushes you to connect to real people in real life.
Mr. Danny, how do you measure success on Social? Is it user engagement time, the depth of conversations, or the number of real world meetups, or something else entirely?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so it's a combination of, definitely we're always looking at user retention, and personally, I do reach out to a lot of the most active users, and I see how they're using it.
Hmm.
Basically, the way I'm approaching Ville is a very linear growth approach. I'm not trying to do um, like a super high spend traditional startup route that we saw with like the startup and app bubble, where everyone, and still a lot of times this is the idea, is that you need to have this crazy hyperbolic um, growth right at the beginning, where you're getting this huge wide audience. I'm really focusing locally, so that's mostly Colorado, and now Nashville, Miami, and Chicago. And um, what I'm doing is talking to users that are actually using it and seeing how they're using it. And for example, some of the businesses that post their events, like there's this one friend of mine now that has a shop and will post classes. So when she posts a class, and we start sharing it around to people, I just kind of showed up to her shop, and we start talking about how she was using it, what was working, what wasn't. And that has really been I think the biggest metric of success is just the real people that are using it. Is it actually helping them grow community and meet in person? And yeah, I mean that's so I've been iterating very aggressively. I mean, Ville 2.0 just launched, and it's unrecognizable from Ville that launched a year ago because so many features have been adjusted. User interface has been adjusted to be even easier to use, just from constantly talking to real people who are using it.
Mr. Danny, joining a new social platform can feel like showing up to a party where you don't know anyone. How does Reveal the Social solve the empty room problem and actively help new members to find people from day one?
Yes, love it. So, what I don't want to do with Ville is suggest a lot of connections to people that people have not met. So, the way it works is you're initially pushed to attend events that you see through the immersive 5-second clips that we're seeing. I think we're sharing the screen too as well, the Ville landing page. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So these videos, they show, and you could, you tap on them to unmute, so you can also hear the space as well, to get you to actually attend an event. When you mark an event as attending, then in the Connect tab, you'll see some recommended connections for people who are also going to that event. So the idea is that whether you connect with them before the event or while you're at the event or after, it's ideally people that you've met in person. So that's the first thing. It's not about connecting to users that you're only interacting with digitally. Because I really don't want it to be another platform that just has people using it as sort of another digital connection device, tool where you're not. It's really meant to push people to in-person connection. So that's how I address that. Is it's really focused on getting you to those events to meet real people, and then also make it really easy to participate in those events. It's really easy to, for example, for hosts to add leaders to their vills, which are the communities within Ville, so that they can help add chip in requests, edit events, post their own events within that bill. So everything about it is basically how you would think about a social media platform like Instagram, TikTok, or Snapchat, or any of those, where it's easy to use, but for events. So it's basically the accessibility to get you to those events, and then the further communication through group chat and that like automatic connection that shows up. Also, is how we avoid that issue of people feeling like they're alone in an empty room.
Mr. Danny, you've likely had to make conscious trade-off. What feature common on other platforms did you consciously leave out, and why was it crucial to your mission?
Yes, that's a great question. Yeah, so I had mentioned this a bit earlier, where there's a litmus test for Ville that the only features that make it onto Ville are ones that push us to connect in person with other humans. So there are features like, comments on the events that are public to everyone, commenting on it and seeing what everyone else is saying. These strangers that you've never met. While I've thought about ways to integrate sort of public forum features of the app, when I really thought about the function that comments serve, I've noticed that how most people use them is they're trying to get the public opinion and enter the public discourse without the need to go somewhere in person. So it's another touch point where someone could go down a digital pathway of just, arguing with other people online and discussing things with other people that they never actually met, and it's just not conducive to getting them to the physical event. So that's an example of something that's left out. I'm not saying there never will be, again, a feature that has some type of public forum aspect to it. But right now, like the main public forum is okay, here's the events that are there. You can join the group chat of the Ville or the event itself, but it's really not encouraging people to do a ton of interaction with internet strangers, but rather encouraging them to be in person at the event.
Well, Mr. Danny, Does Build Social use algorithmic feed? If so, how is it tuned to promote meaningful interaction over addictive consumption?
Hmm. Yeah, great question. Yeah, so the algorithm of what events you're fed is the idea is that it's simple. So there's not anything like hashtags or anything like that, but essentially there's interests that the hosts associate with the Ville that hosts events and the events themselves. And then as you like events, attend events, um, those are more suggested to you, and then really prioritizes a mixture of nearby events and what's upcoming today. So you'll even see here on this example on the landing page, a lot of events when first launched the app are ones that are happening today and nearby. So that's the focus. That focus there is clear. And then, sorry, could you repeat the second half of the question?
If so, is tune promote meaningful interaction over addictive consumption?
Uh-huh.
Is
Yes,
it?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
and there's not, so the feed is a very familiar interface, but again, all those buttons you'll see there, like there's the add to calendar one, and then there's the share button, and then there's the like, and the like is really intended to be a bookmark button.
Mm.
This is essentially you liked it, that can be seen by the host, it can be seen by other people, but also it's just a handy feature so that you can bookmark something that maybe you don't want to commit to attending. And then beyond that, there's a really easy to use search. You can view the map view, um, but there's not really an incentive to just consume. That's also part of the point of the 5 second limitation. It is a content platform, Bill, but it's not a consumption platform. It's really not intended to be something where you just sit on the app. So every piece of Bill focuses on, again, pushing you to the in-person event as opposed to just endlessly consuming and mindlessly consuming content.
Mr. Donny, many toxic online behaviors are fueled by anonymity. What is a real.social stance on a real names versus pseudonyms, and how does a choice impact the quality of discourse?
Mhm. Yes. So, in terms of individual users, currently, it's totally fine to use like a pseudonym if you want. For event hosts, we do look at and moderate those events to make sure that nothing fraudulent's happening, that there's nothing fishy about the event. We don't want it to be. Um, Basically, if there's anything that sort of seems off about the event, whether being associated with a location that's not really matching the description, then that's something of a red flag. But yeah, the I would say that most of the scrutiny has to do with the actual hosts of events, and they have to verify their account before they can post an event, for example. Um, but yeah, users themselves, at least currently, I'm not sure if we'll keep that because the emphasis is on real people connecting. So um, it may be stricter in the future for individual users that aren't hosts, where their name needs to match. But the idea is that really you're supposed to connect to people you met in person, right? That's the everything's channeled toward that in terms of who it suggests is people that you've ideally met in person. So that's again the focus. It's really not um, about surrounding. Connecting with a bunch of internet strangers. So definitely, also there's not comments on the events. It's more focused on group chats with people you've already met, and then the every aspect also has a lot of easy ways for users to also help moderate by reporting users or events that violate the terms of service or put anyone in danger. So far, we haven't had any situations like that. I know one time there was like a few kind of fishy events that didn't make any sense that were posted in like California or something, and then those were taken off the platform because they just seemed like just something strange is going on. But other than that, we haven't had a problem with that. It's been a pretty good system so far.
In an era of data Monetization. How does Will the social approach user data, Mr. Danny? Is the data generated by local communities seen as an asset to be sold or a trust to be protected?
Hmm. No, yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, so the the point of Bill again is to be a healthy tool to help people connect in person and improve their lives. So the last thing on earth that we would want to do is to let any user data be compromised. Um, to be fair, there's not really much that we collect. Like for example, the app um, takes your current location to show you events, but we're not storing that what your current location is on any servers. So it's using like the actual local just code on your device to do those sorts of things. But yeah, we're very careful about keeping all the information secure and data secure of our users.
Interesting, Mr. Danny. Yes, so what is the one upcoming feature or initiative you are most excited about that will further deepen the ability for people to connect meaningfully?
Yeah, thanks for that. Actually, do you mind scrolling down to the chip in section of the landing page because that'll show a
Sure.
nice preview. So there's the group chat, there's the bills. Yeah, right here.
Yes.
So this chip in feature essentially it shows up as when it's enabled for an event as a little nacho chip icon, and then when you tap that icon, it goes into the chip in section. So what this allows anyone to do who's hosting an event, it really lends itself well to, for example, a potluck or a picnic or anything like that, or even a road trip. Essentially, you can put any items there that are needed. It could be for, and this is currently released. I mean, this 2.0 just launched. I think it's now a couple weeks ago, but that's been underway and been hard at work on that all year. Um, but yeah, you can add any items like snacks, folding chairs, sunscreen, whatever. It really lets you enter anything, and then your members of your community can chip in an item, and they can make a little comment like, "Oh, I'm bringing you know, the folding chair, 4 camp chairs," and this person could say, I'm bringing the sunscreen. Very easy to use, just a couple taps, and it's easy to add chip in requests as a leader of an event, and then it's also really easy to chip in as an attendee. The other one is share your vibe, um, and share your vibe is essentially what statuses have been on social media, except it's specifically focused to letting your connections know what you're up to. So let's say you want someone to invite you out dancing, or to the gym, or to co-work or remote work together at a cafe or something, but you just want to put that energy out there, put that vibe out there. So if you share your vibe, then your connections all get notified. I feel like working out together. I feel like remote working together. I feel like um, going outside. And then they can message you and invite you, or they can ask you if you have any plans and get together. So those two features are essentially meeting two big needs, which is the first one is helping organizers take some of the pressures off of themselves. So a lot of people love hosting, but they actually get overwhelmed when they first host a potluck dinner or party or something, because they often take too much responsibility on themselves. Because if they're a giving spirit that wants to bring people into their homes or space, they tend to also want to do too much themselves. But the reality is, being the host or the organizer itself is a huge responsibility. So the chip in feature makes it very easy to ask for help. You could, for example, even put, let's say, like front door attendee on the chip in, and someone could volunteer as well. So it's not just for items, you can also use it for, or I've hosted some potlucks and parties where a job ended up being going out to the gate or front door to let people in, because maybe it was a complex with a code, or someone had to actually manually open the door. So things like that, chip in really helps organizers. Ideally, an organizer gets as much pressure off of themselves as possible, because then they'll continue to do it. I just find too many people who want to be hosts, they get overwhelmed. So this is a way to let their community help them through chip ins on Bill. And then share your vibe. I've heard for many years, by talking to lots of people about how they interact with going to events, looking for events, hosting events, and being someone who's part of a community or looking to break into a community. Um, this sentiment that maybe they feel like doing something, but they're hoping someone invites them. So a lot of people really feel like, oh, maybe I want to go dancing or go to a cool bar or go to yoga or something, but they don't know who to text, they don't know who to call, they don't know what to post online. They feel like maybe it would be desperate or awkward to say, I really would like to go dancing tonight, to sort of put out the invitation. So by making Vibe a format, there's no other option. You can't just say, I'm listening to Coldplay right now. No, it's focused toward putting the energy and the vibe out there of what you're looking to do. And so it gives people that framework where they can put that vibe out there and let people invite them, or just let people know what the vibe is. And maybe then a group chat gets together and plans an event together, or plans an event to go to together.
So, Mr. Donny, do you think Veil.social will be the next big thing?
Well, I think for human connection, it's definitely the next big thing. Again, I'm focusing on the localized, helping local communities. So I'm not really so far pushing it out into the ether or the national space that much yet, just because I'm focused on Colorado, I'm focused on Miami and Nashville and Chicago, because I really want to make sure that it's actually helping communities. And so far it is. I mean, in Colorado, it's been a great help for like small organizers, intimate party gatherers and organizers and hosts, and then also small businesses as well. Um, and in that sense, like, yeah, I absolutely do believe it is. At the same time, I have the wherewithal to continue to adapt it and grow it to people's needs. And I have no doubt that it'll continue to help people connect in that way. So, I mean, the way I see it, in a couple of years, I definitely see it as a national platform, or I mean, an international platform, that's used especially for intimate gatherings of people from like 10 to 20 people, groups of 10 to 20 people that are going to events together, planning parties together, as well as the perfect tool for large venues and festivals to use as well, because those immersive clips and really easy to use features for sharing and connecting with other people will expand it into that space as well, internationally. So yeah, I have no doubt that the sky is not even the sky is the limit. So
Sky is the limit. I like that, Mr. Donny.
the stars.
So, how do you define the boundaries of Veil? Is it purely hyper local, or it can be based on a shared interest within geographic area?
Yeah. So there's a really easy to use filtering. So by default, for example, when you launch the app, you're seeing a radius that's roughly the size of a city or a metropolitan area. So, for example, here in Denver, you see some things out in Boulder that's like less than an hour away. You see some. So generally in Denver, for example, it's more within like a 45-minute drive or less. That's the idea. But you can easily expand that radius and easily change your location. And that affects then the feed, the nearby events feed, which is that video feed, and then also the map, so that you see this live feed of like what events are going on right now, which ones are near you, and nice thumbnail previews of those events. So it's really easy to see what's near you. Definitely the focus is nearby events. That being said, there's a reason why I'm going out to like from Colorado to Miami, Chicago, Nashville, places like that, because again, the focus is localized, supporting localized communities. But then it becomes really easy. Like, let's say if you're about to go out to Chicago from Denver, um, I'm about to go to Nashville for the holidays. I can easily change my location, by just typing filter, type in Nashville, it shows what's there. And then it's still collecting interest so that I'm still getting things suggested based on that. But yeah, I mean, the goal is to push you to go to events. So the majority of what you see by default is nearby and upcoming events, because that's what we're likely to go to, right? Are the things that are accessible.
Who do you see as your true competitor? Is it the other social apps, or is it the broader societal inertia and the difficulty of getting people to engage with their immediate neighbors?
Hmm. Oh, I love that question. Yeah. So I think a lot of event apps, when they've started, um, will look at other event apps and go, that's my competition. Like, I want to do an invite app. So I'm going to make it easy to create invites, whatever. And I really see social media as my competition: Instagram, TikTok, I suppose Snapchat as well, Facebook Reels, all of that. Because that's where people's attention is being focused on right now in a very unhealthy way. And I've noticed this really refreshing perspective from a lot of, um, I guess we could say, the Gen Z crowd, and maybe younger as well, that there's this awareness that uh, this thing called brain rot, doom scrolling, terms like that you'll hear thrown out, where it's almost like a tongue in cheek, self deprecating comment about how our society is so obsessed with just being glued to our screen. So, for example, I did this, my editor put together this sort of ironic infomercial inspired campaign, and through that video on TikTok. So he's basically promoting doom scrolling in this kind of cheesy, funny way. And I got a lot of positive reception from TikTok users that were a bit younger, that they really understand that there is something wrong going on, and it is, our attention is being dominated too much by consuming content on these platforms called social media, but there's nothing social about them, and the conversation that happens is often between strangers in a very disconnected way. So yeah, truly, I see social media as my competitor, because it's really the people that want to be going to events and having community that are instead spending their time on you know consuming content endlessly. Those are the ones that I want to help reconnect.
Reconnect indeed. And Mr. Danny, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my Abstract Essay is already in fifth season, Abstract Poetry in second season, and my Book 101 Review in fifth season too, Comedy 101 third season, and my Food 101 in fifth season as well, Geography 101 Love Letters, Movie 101 Review, Music 101 our fourth season, Science 101, Sex 101. In second season, I'm a baby podcast, Law 101, a mental health 101, and Bible verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Danny, imagine Ville.social is widely successful 10 years from now. How will cities and neighborhoods feel different because it exists? What behavior will have changed?
Hmm. The main one, I think, is right now when people meet in person and they're at that, they don't fully trust or know the person that well. A lot of times they swap social media handles, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, whatever, because maybe they're not ready to swap phone numbers because they're afraid they'll, number will be sold to someone or something, or they'll get spam or whatever. I think they'll be swapping Vil because they'll be wanting to be able to chat with that new friend, and then also easily share events with each other and easily pitch into their community together. Um, through, I'm sure at that point, Vil will have transformed even more to support communities, in terms of just what I hear from how people are using it, and how it could even improve. So yeah, I think they'll be, you know, swapping Vil, with just a quick QR code connection, and then they'll be seeing like events they have in common, deals they can join, and not convincing, not exchanging funny videos that then gets you sucked into a feed that has you viewing content for forever, but instead sharing events and gatherings and healthy ways that we can exist together with their connections instead.
Mr. Danny Meese, thank you so much for sharing Will to the world and hoping for more and more app like this to rise. So, can you please invite our listeners to support the Will app?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Yeah, so Vill is free on iPhone, Android, and it's also really easy to share the events with anyone, and they don't need to log in. They see the video invite with all the options in their browser. So if you just go to ville.social, then it will help you easily download and get set up with Vill.
Yes, people, support Mr. Danny because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering app like this to come. So, Mr. Danny, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. It's been great.
Welcome, people. See you soon.